Right, here we go. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Paul from the band Alchemy Fire, and I'm going to be interviewing my friend here, Lenny Jones, from the band. Let me get the name right. Burdens Within. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's right. And we're all in conjunction with Project Metal Music with Ell and our sister radio station, Digital Revolution Radio. So we're going to kick off. We're going to talk to you, Lenny, and we're going to get a bit of information about your background and stuff like that. So I like to start off with like, what sort of got you into music in the first place?
A lot of people ask me that, and I don't know if it's somewhere between my mom listening to a lot of rock and roll while she cleaned the house at home, and me just pecking on things, trying to find rhythm, and all the way to marching band.
Yep.
And then after high school, I decided that, I wanted to do rock and roll. So
yep,
been doing bands ever since.
Oh, that's cool. So it's sort of like a bit of a school thing that got you there in the first place, was it?
Yeah. And I wanted to learn a little bit about theory and stuff like that.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. Because it's usually, I found like from my family, mine was my parents, it's mainly my mom, because she was a singer, and that's how I got into it. So you're pretty much, your parents give you a bit of influence in that sort of way as well, was it?
Yeah, and even my grandparents, who my grandpa playing guitar at a young age, and just being amazed at how he could, like, I couldn't do it. I didn't know how he was making all that beautiful sound every time I touched it. Didn't make anything beautiful like he could. So
yeah,
I was curious on how to do that. So it's just been a passion.
Did you start on guitar first, was it, or was that just you
No,
decided?
actually, I started with drums, playing the snare, and then then I went off to college and I picked up a guitar, and I was like, okay, I like both, and the thing that came between was the bass, and I fell in love with it, and it's just been my instrument ever since.
Yep, that's cool. But it's just like, like everyone has a different path. When you talk to people, they go, yeah, I started on this instrument and then I either changed over there, or some people went, no, I picked up that and that was it. I didn't want to play anything else. So you pretty much, you bounced around a little bit till you found your calling, as we say it.
yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of glad I did that, because it gives me like an ear for the drums and the guitar and the singing, and it just, I don't know, just it works perfect for me.
Yeah. Well, I always say to people, because I'm a guitar player, and I say, if you unplug the guitar when the bands are playing, you'll always hear the bass, but if you unplug the bass, the song drops, so you think like, wow, you definitely need that bass there to hold it all together.
I would agree as a bass player.
yeah. Well, I mean, personally, I always respect all the other musicians, because everyone's got their place to play in the lineup, whether it's, if you just think, oh, so you're only a drummer, or you're only this, or you're only that, and that's not fair, really. I think musicians are musicians. They all put their bid in, whether it's songwriting, whether you could be part of the lyric writing, as well as being the instrument player, or you might say, I've got this piece here, I'd love you to see what we could do with this. So you might have a little section, and everyone go, hey, I've never thought of that. That sounds great. Play that again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I guess playing an instrument by itself it's fine and everything, but to really get that rock and roll sound, you need every single musician in there, because I've had where like a drummer or a singer that couldn't make it, and trying to do it without them, and it's just not the same feel at all.
No.
Like it's like a unit.
Yeah.
So everybody has their role in there.
Exactly.
Absolutely agree.
That's it. Because some people, like, I mean, I talk to guys like when I because I write a lot of the music for my band, but they're all individual members who've got their own bits. So when we do our next bit, our next album, I want, you know, more input coming in. So I think that's vital in a way because everyone has their own part to play, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Like earth, wind, fire, and water. You know how it all
Yeah.
flows here. You know, it's
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because, you know, I mean, even the smallest things, if people forget that, you know, you might think, oh, this guy here has just picked up something and it might be the smallest bit of a melody or something and it sounds really cool. And you think, and I'll tell you what, that would fit perfectly with this. And then you put it into the song and it, bang, it sort of just goes, there it goes, it clicks.
yeah, like even jazz. You know, I mean, like
Yeah.
adding those little tiny tweaks to it
Yep,
gives the unit kind of a more of an individual characteristic. You know what I mean?
definitely, definitely. Because, you know, I mean, here's just an example from my point of view. When I write stuff, I always use these drum programs and I send the music over to the drummer, and the first thing he goes, "Get that goddamn machine off there! I'm the drummer here." You know, he's telling me, he says, "Send me the stuff over, but take the drums off. I don't want to hear them." He says,
Yeah,
"But
I'm definitely like that as a bass player. I gotta have them live drums. I mean, but I understand with the writing process. But yeah,
yeah,
nothing beats live
yeah."
drums.
Well, he just says it in the he don't mean it in a nasty way. He just like says like, you know, I want to feel my way through the song, and I only use it as a writing tool. I mean, I don't say, right, I want you to play the drums like that. No, I wouldn't dare say that to him. You know, I just say, I just go, hey, here's the next riffs and stuff that I've put together. Have a listen, and he'll come back with his little input. You see, I suppose I don't know if you guys do it the same way. I don't know if that. I don't know how you write. Do you write anything like that?
Um, Usually I just since I'm new, I'm kind of just flowing with them.
Yeah,
Just listening to a lot um, of their style and trying to adapt and adding a little bit of my flavor to it. And
yeah, yeah. So
apparently,
how long you been in the lineup then now, Lenny?
about a month now.
Oh, right. So you really are fairly fresh and new then, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The new
but
kid on the block.
yeah, which
Oh,
that's
cool.
I'll adapt though. I mean, they're good guys.
Yeah.
Really good guys. So
Oh, that's good. As long because sometimes people can feel a bit uncomfortable, don't they, when they join the lineup? They go, "Is this going to work? Am I going to fit in?" You know, there's a lot of 1,001 things go through your head when you're doing that. But
oh yeah,
if they make it easy for you, then that's good.
yeah, I'd say they're definitely tip top when it comes to the people I like to jam with. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's good.
I really enjoy them, man. They're really great
Yeah,
people and great musicians.
yeah. Oh, that's good. That you know, you're halfway there when you got all that sort of put together. It's like a sandwich, in it. You got to put something on first, and then a layer, and then whatever you're going to put on. You know,
That's
build it up.
exactly how I describe it.
Yeah. So, what would you say? How old were you when you first started getting into all this sort of thing? When you started your music?
Well, I at 16 is when I really started, experimenting with
Yeah.
creating rock and roll bands, and I even recall skipping school and going home and playing my drums. I was a drummer first,
Yep.
and it used to really get my parents upset. And but that's when it really hit. That's when the passion really started. It was
Yeah.
all or nothing at that point.
Yep. I think when you're younger, it's like it's just a flame in your heart, and it is like I want to do this, you know, and it just takes over you. And I always say to people, and you get involved in this sort of style of music, whatever it is, it becomes part of your life. It's not just oh, I'll do it on the weekends type thing. It just like an obsession. It takes hold of you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's the way it is. It's just, you know, I mean, some people are more obsessive than others, you know. So
and I might be one of those people. You know what I mean? I mean, I spend a lot of time with my family. You know, they mean a lot to me too. But when it comes to music, you know, I spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
And maybe more than most, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think people forget that, you know, when it's become part of your life and you've dedicated yourself to it, there's a lot of, you know, you've taken a lot of hits, if I can say that, because you know, you probably know yourself that you might have lost friends because you're so dedicated to it, and you're coming out. No, I've got this. I'm still doing this music, you know, and they go, "What's up with you? You know, you never used to be like this," something like
Yeah.
that. But that's what happens, doesn't it? It does take over you a bit.
Not just friends, girlfriends in the past, you know, they like swear that you're just obsessed with your music, and it's like, no, I love life and everything like that. It's just this is what I am, you know. And you know,
well, that's the way it works, mate. You know, I mean, some bands are like, you know, they don't. I mean, I'm only talking from people that I've known. Some bands, the old expression is they couldn't give two shits, or some of them are like, no, they're really, really focused, you know, and it depends on the personality or who the band is or who you are, how you operate, really, I suppose.
I agree. Some musicians, they're just a different breed, you know what I mean? They really want to go out there and do it. And I respect that because, you know, you can, like you were saying earlier, you can lose a lot doing that. But when you get up on that stage, it's like, you know, who cares if I lost it? You know, I'm right here entertaining people, and they're no longer divided like they are in certain areas, like on, you know, out there in the public talking politics or whatever, their indifferences. At that show, they're with you, and they don't have time to be different because they're vibing, you know. And I love that.
Right. That's one good thing with the music, I find. It transcends everything. You know, you forget all about that. You don't bring any of that crap with you. You just go, no, we're here for the music. Let's just go for it. Let's everyone enjoy it. And I think, and it's like I said, I mean, I've got one of my brothers who's he's my youngest brother, and he's been all over the world, and he's a professional dancer. And when he was in different countries, you know, it's like you can be any country in the world. Music is the only language that everyone in the world can understand, and it doesn't need a barrier for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Doesn't need translating. It's just bang, it's there, isn't it?
Absolutely, you know. Absolutely.
Okay, so if we go into one of the questions here, did you get any influences off your parents when you were sort of listening to how, you know, say they might have had a record that you liked? Did that sort of say to you, I want to do it this way? Or did you go, I don't really like that, I'm going to do something completely different? Just throw in the ballpark figure at you there.
Well, when I got to be in my teenage years, you know, I sort of got into my own style, you know, as most generations do. They sort of kind of reject their parents' music, but that didn't last very long. You know, my music styles or my influence, I should say, they can be it's very diverse. I'd say Motley Crue and Ozzy Osbourne were some of the first two. That's who my mom liked a lot. My dad was into ZZ Top and even Johnny Cash. So there's some diversity right there. And I guess I just sort of explored it all, you know, and tested it out. And I don't know. I just I can't really say who really influenced me the most when a lot of people have influenced me. I mean, I'm talking about bands and individual musicians. So I can make a list, and tomorrow, you know, whoever's at the top could be at number 5. You know, it's just according to the day. But
well, that's music, isn't it? That's music.
Yeah, it's
one flavor today is a different flavor tomorrow, because I think it's, I mean, for me anyway, I think it's like a mood swing thing. You know,
Yeah.
whatever mood you're in, you'll go for that style, and then you want something else, or you want a bit of aggression, so you'll put something else on, or you want to calm it down, you'll bring it down. So, and that's the beauty of music, though, isn't it? It can go up and down like a yo-yo.
Mood altering. Yeah, it's definitely mood altering. You know, sometimes when I'm angry, I want to hear heavier stuff, but by the time I'm done listening to that, I'm nice and calm and chill.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what I think. What the music industry is about. You know, I mean, it's so diverse, especially on this side of the what the music scene is. I mean, because when they start classifying rock and metal and all that, they try to pigeonhole everything, but you can't really, because there's too many genres, you know.
Right.
And it's basically, if you play a live instrument, that's the way I look at it, you can't put your finger on it all, because there's guys out there who play really light stuff and yet can rock it out with the big boys, and vice versa. The real heavy guys can go, I tell you what, I can drop this right down and compete with the guys who are like, I didn't think you'd write a song like that. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
That's what music tends to do, doesn't it? It's like it's a different thing for all occasions, is the way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Sometimes in the morning, you know, I'll pop on something more easy, you know, and by the afternoon, you know, I'm rocking hard, you know.
Yeah.
And it could be vice versa, you know, it's just according to what I feel at the moment. And
right.
I guess that also kind of goes with even when I write on you know, myself, it also goes with the mood, you know.
Yeah.
It could come out heavy, it could come out lighter, but
yeah. Well, that's what it's going to say. Like, you know, like, I know, because you're saying you like different styles of music. Is there any particular genre that you would say that's definitely me, or do you say no, I'm right across the board here? I'll take on anything.
I don't know. I mean, I've it's all interesting to me, you know. I mean, how it's developed, and but for me, when I play, like I don't really like to divide up music into subgenres and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, metal, and stuff like that. I guess I would be more basic on what I like to play personally.
Yeah.
So that's where I tend to have the most feeling and excel with it the most. And I mean, I'm talking about when you know, when I say rock and roll metal, I'm talking about bands like from Ozzy to Korn, you know, which sound totally different, but it's that guitar rock, you know, that guitar music. Motorhead, you know, Motorhead to Deftones, which sound totally different, but it's still that feeling, you know. If you listen to the theory behind it, it's all rolling around the same thing, you know. It's just they're adding a different tweak to it. So
well, that's it. That's how it sort of leads on to other things, doesn't it? I mean, because, you know, one band will write and they seem to get a style, and then when the style keeps going, and if they change, the first people to jump on them is their own fans. Oh, why are you doing that? You know, you should be playing more like the last album. You know, they don't expect bands to evolve, you know, whereas other bands, they do like to change, don't they? Or experiment and say, oh, we're going to try something a bit different here, and then whether it works or not, some people like it, but you can't please everyone.
No, and you're right about that. It's hard to please everyone, but you know, just appreciate the ones that are there, though. You know what I mean? The ones that do appreciate it, that's who you're playing for, and that's where I give it my all. You know, I don't care if there's 2 people out there. I'm going to play my hardest for them. You know, whether or thousands, you know, I'm going to play my best for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So I was gonna lead on to there. What's your type of amps do you use and stuff like that? You know, your pedals or anything? Have you got anything that's your?
I don't really use pedals. But I have a Heart Key is what I use for my amps. A Heart Key
Okay.
4.5 bass module. That's
Yeah.
what I use about
All right.
everything. Just a 200 watt amp. You know, nothing too pushing, but it really does the job. You know, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like a lot, but it does the job.
Yeah. Punches out. That's all you want.
Oh yeah, punch is really great.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you are you a big fan of DIing straight into the PA? Because some bass players are like that. They don't need an amp. They just want a pedal, and they go, "Oh, I'll go straight to the PA. I'm not really bothered about that."
A lot of the times I like to go into the PA just because, you know, the sound guy seems to level it out more because
Yeah.
kind of go a little deaf playing bass a lot after years. And you know, and bass is like it's a vibration, and you kind of get stingy with it. That's all you want to hear because you're just trying to
Yeah.
rock so hard, and I don't want to, you know, override anybody. So I kind of prefer to go with into the mains, you know.
Yeah. 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 Because some people like, I mean, there's a lot of bands on stage now that they have very little amps, and they use the monitoring system really hard. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm still the old school. I like an amp behind me. I like to hear it, as well. Okay, there's a lot of good in-ear stuff now that is technically really good, but I couldn't play with two in-ear monitors in. I only could do with one. I did an interview with somebody a few weeks ago, and they said, yeah, they can only play with one in the ear and one on the monitor at the front because they don't get that feedback feel, and they like to have the movement of air behind them from an amp, even though it's not on full blast. It like competes on the stage. It sort of gives it that sound, whereas a monitor is just coming one way, isn't it? So you're thinking, I'm still, I traditionally, I like to see what I'm plugged into. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, I agree with that. I definitely have to have it. I like it when it's behind me in case I
Yeah,
need to adjust it or,
yeah,
you know, humidity. There's a lot of humidity here, so you know that could
yeah,
really mess with you a lot. Or if you're doing something outdoors, you never know what the weather's going to be like, and you'll have to
yeah,
adjust it with the cold and
yeah.
you know
That make a lot of tone difference for your live sound, does it?
what's that?
Your humidities that make a lot of difference for your tone on the live sound.
Um, Sometimes, just a little bit. That you know, I definitely have to pay attention to it. I mean, it can
Right.
go out of tune real quick, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
got to keep an eye on it. Well, I guess an ear on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. So where are you based, Lenny? Whereabouts is your band based?
Uh, the band Burdens Within.
Where's
They're
that?
from all. Are you talking about where the band is based?
Yeah, yeah, where you're based, the whole band, yeah.
Indiana. We're from different parts. You know,
Right.
I'm from Union City, Indiana.
Okay.
It's just a little small town, and again, also why I play a lot of music. There's not much here to do. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. But
um,
is that a hot state, Indiana? Because I don't know the states that well in America without being either east or west.
it's hot summers and cold winters.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you get
But
extremes.
the band is based. We practice in Noblesville, Indiana. That's pretty close to the capital in Indianapolis. So
Okay. Oh, that's good. So how many's in your lineup? So I don't know too much about your band, you see, because I've only this Ell, when he jumped onto me and said, "Oh, we've got these guys coming on." I didn't get a chance to do any research on you. I'm sorry about that. That's my fault. But
that's all right.
I'll definitely check you out after this. I think I heard uh, one of your singles that was doing, and it was a lighter song. Is that the style that you have all the way through your album, or is that a just one off that it's just a track that I heard, and everything else is a little bit different?
Well, you'd have to tell me which track it was.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what it was
It,
called. It was just I just heard the
it,
one track. I think it was one of your latest songs. So don't I'm sorry about that. I didn't know
oh,
the
it's
it's
got
what
a. I would say it has a build up to it. You know,
right.
it has sometimes some light parts, but then there's like this buildup where you kind of feel the energy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, even through the speakers. That's one thing that attracted me to want to become a part of this band, was that feeling that you got from it. There's a
Okay.
little light, there's a little hard, you know. I mean, it just
Yep.
it blends well. Blends well.
Yeah. So you know, with not knowing too much about you guys, what would your sort of like you're leaning to in your style or sort of territory that you're involved in? How would you classify yourselves?
Um, I think you'd have to ask the guys more on that than me. I'm having a hard time categorizing it. I mean,
Right.
it's to me, it's one of a kind, especially around this area, you know. So
Yeah.
to categorize it, I mean, wow, that's a loaded question. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah. Well, you've
Definitely,
been very
definitely on the
diplomatic
metal.
around it, you see. So that's
I mean,
how
there's
I look
elements
at
of
it. Yeah.
there's elements of metal, and there's a little bit of
Yeah.
everything. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Oh, that's good. Well, the thing is, it's like, you know, because sometimes the bands who can't be pigeonholed are the ones I find more interesting myself, because they bring different elements into the songwriting and the music. So it can be a real eye opener if you think, oh, that sounds good, you know, and then you go into it more, and that sort of leads you into sort of like, hey, they found a new band that I really like. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I prefer stuff like that, because you know, you can get your mainstream, what I call your mainstream style of stuff, and a lot of bands can say, yeah, well, I'm influenced by Metallica, and then they end up sounding exactly like them. Do you know what I mean? So you can tell it's very obvious who their influence are. Whereas if you have influences coming in from all over, it's a little bit different then, because you can twist it, you can turn it, and you can shake it up and end up sounding nothing like the rest of them, but you've got elements in there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and I believe the guys have brought their influences in there, and I think it's blended really well, and that's what gives it the sound that it has, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't think I've never heard them say that they base it off one
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
influence. They would just come together, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Sort of like
So,
magic, you know.
how many's in the lineup altogether, Lenny?
Five of us.
5 of you, right? So is it 2 guitars or 1 guitar and a keyboard, or what?
2 guitars, drummer, singer, and yours truly on bass.
Okay, nice one. So the 2 guitars, are they both swapping leads, or is it just one lead and the other guy is a rhythm player?
Um, I would say I believe Mark's more the lead, but they both throw in their styles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They both have their own intricate parts in each song that I've noticed playing
Yeah.
along with them. So it's hard to say who's leading, you know, in some parts, but
yeah.
Mark's got the label lead singer, so I
Right.
must give him that. So, and he's awesome at it, and Mike is awesome. You know, they're both really great guitarists. They blend well.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's it. I mean, sometimes, you know, I mean, you can get offset with, you know, one player tends to lean heavily, he wants to do it all his way, and then other times, other bands, they have 2 guys who'll sit in really well, and that makes the band more cohesive, I think. Whereas if you get one guy who's definitely, I'm doing it this way, you can tell he wants to be out on his own, and that tends to throw the band a bit, because he ends up saying, well, you're supporting me, type thing. And I'm not a big lover of that, you know, because to me, you're all or nothing. That's the way I look at a band.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You gotta work together to get that sound, you know. And
yeah, definitely. I mean, because you know, I mean, fair play to wherever you are in the world, whoever's playing what. We all understand the idea that the cohesiveness of the band is probably the most important thing, because that's what gets you, you know, the songs to knit together and stuff like that, isn't it? It's sort of, you know, you can tell if that bit's not working or that bit doesn't work. So when everyone sort of knits it and it goes like that, and everyone goes, that's it, we got it, you know.
And that's pretty much it. You nailed it right there.
Okay, right. So we're just got a couple of more things here for you. What sort of bass do you play? Do you play any specific one, or are you're not bothered? And I just I like that one, or are you endorsed or anything like that?
I stick with Ibanez and SDGRs. Of course, there's a lot of great brands out there, but those are the two that really stick with me, and SDGRs made by Ibanez. So that's where I stick. I love the sound. I love the tones and the pickups. Everything about it just seems to fit my characteristic. So
cool. Are you 4, 5, 6 string? What are you? What type of bass player are you?
I'm more comfortable on 4. I'm starting to play around with the 5 string, just because of drop tunings and things like that. So I might be leaning towards that next, but I have both, and I fiddle around with both. So
that's
cool.
why
not experiment, right? And,
that's what it's all about. Well, you see, you got an easy one because my bass player is a 6-string player, and he's like, and he's just like, push him over there, right? Get over there.
You get them 8 strings, and there's the necks are as thick as my head, man. They're amazing.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you see all these strings that are. Funny enough, I was watching a video this morning, and it was have you ever seen them stick? I don't know whether they call them stick guitar.
I can't think of the name of them.
Yeah, they're insane, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's all like kind of rhythm, you know, and they just what are they called? I can't think of the name of them, but gent sticks or something like that.
Yeah, they got a funny name.
Yeah. There's like some of them look like broomsticks with just one bass string on them.
Well, the first person I saw play something like that was I can't remember the guy's name, the bass player. He used to play with Peter Gabriel.
Oh yeah.
And he plays one of them, and it's like unbelievable sound, like, you know, and you think, blimey, this guy he's all over the place on it, because he's playing with 2 hands like that all the time, you know, and it's just an amazing sound. And you think, all those frets, all those strings, I don't know how many strings they are. I think they're 12 or more, you know, and it's
I misunderstood you. I was thinking, okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you his name. I just remembered it. Tony Levin.
Tommy Levin.
That's his name. Tony Levin, the bass player. He's a bald guy, but what a bass player! Absolutely unbelievable. He's up and down the neck like that. You know, he's playing with both hands. It's insane.
Every time I hear off subject, every time I hear Peter Gabriel, I think of "Shock the Monkey" for some reason. That song always pops in my head every time.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Right. What's another one for live? You saying you use your Huck rig? Do you use anything else, or is that just it? You don't use any effects pedals or anything, do you?
No, I just adjust
the
tones and everything, and give like a nice, clean, natural bass. And it works out for me and the band, you know.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you get some players. I've seen bass players. They got pedal boards. It's bigger than the guitarist, you know, and they've got about 20 pedals on there. And I'm thinking, how are you going to use all them sounds? But you know, a lot of bass players are now with a lot of stuff like that. They especially with compression, they really like to mess around with some swirly noises, as I call them. So it's like, it's weird, but it sounds good.
And I've got that compression on my head, so on the Heartbeat head, so it you know, that really gives me the edge. So I really don't use them. And,
does it have a graphic on your head? Does it have a graphic equalizer on?
Yes. It has 12, 12 equalizers, or
Okay.
12 bar equalizer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because you know, I mean, it's like anything in it. I mean, everyone has a different sound in their head what their instrument should sound like, and you give your instrument to somebody else. You go, oh, I don't like that. I'm going to mess around with it, you know.
Oh,
So it's,
yeah. That's sort of my pet peeve. You know, that could sometimes it just kind of irks me when people mess
yeah,
with it. You know,
yeah,
yeah, it's got to have my sound, definitely.
yeah. So it's like if you're playing, like if you're doing, say, a gig or a festival and all that. I suppose you're pretty much like I do. I like to bring at least my main setup, because if someone said, "There's your amp, plug in, play," I don't think you'd be happy with that, would you?
Well, I mean, nah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you're lucky because you know, like depends on which or where you're playing. I mean, if you play at a decent venue, sometimes they have a choice of 2 or 3 amps, and they go, right here, which one do you want? And then you might get lucky because you're bound to get one decent sound out of the one, because obviously you want to listen to it. You plug in and play, yeah, that's the one I want. And you know, as a guitar player, I know it's like you can plug into all three and go, I don't like any of them, but I've got to play through one of them. So
I mean, I'll experiment every now and then. A funny story about playing other people's amps, though. A guy provided an amp, and kind of he sort of he didn't realize that I was plugging an active bass in.
wow.
It just something about however he had it hooked up. I ended up blowing up his speaker, and it was like $600, and I'm like, oh man, and I didn't get to play half the show, so I prefer to bring my own equipment after that, you know,
Yeah.
if I can, because yeah, they had to. It was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've done something very similar. This this guy was in his big tent with all these people playing, and a mate of mine says, "Why don't you get up and play?" And I'm going, "Nah, I want to eat. I'm having a drink." So he says, "Go on, get up." I went, "Oh, all right." So the singer says, "Oh, are you in the audience?" And he shouts my name out, and I went, "Yeah, I'm over here." And he went, "Come on, get up." So I had to get up on stage with him. So I'm talking to all the band, and I'm going like, "All right, what do you know that we can all play together?" And I can't remember what song we were starting to play. So this guitarist, he only had a small amp, you see. And I said, "Has it got any drive on it?" Because it was all like very laid back and bluesy and very sort of like, you know. And I'm thinking, I need to get some oomph out of it. So I whacked everything up on it like that. So I started playing with him, and they're going, right. I said to him, "Follow me, and then we'll kick off like that." So he was just a bass player, and the singer said, "Oh, well, I'll jump in when we get going." So we were smashing out a few bars like that. And we got about I'd say about a quarter of the way through the song, and the amp went boom. And I was like, "Sorry, mate, your amp can't take it." I was like, felt really sorry for the guy. It's all smoking away in the corner. And I went, "Oh, shit." It was only a little amp, but, you know, everything on 10. But,
That's exactly what happened to me. Only
yeah,
I didn't adjust. He said, "Don't adjust anything on there." Okay, I won't. He said,
yeah,
"Just plug in and play."
yeah,
I plugged in and played. Not a good idea.
yeah, yeah.
Same thing happened to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that's what happens. You got to rock and roll, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you something else here. What's that? Do you play anything different for, like, if you're doing your recording? I mean, I don't know, you might not have recorded with the lineup you're in now, but would you think of using anything else, or would you just say to yourself, um, that that's pretty much what I want to use, or I'll go in the studio and I'll use all the facilities there, because some studios have really good facilities and others are like pretty sparse, you know, so they expect you to bring your own gear with you. So what would you go with?
I'm always up for experimenting and trying new things, you know. So that doesn't. I'm all down for it, you know, when
Yeah,
it comes to working with different equipment. And that's kind of how I found that I liked Ibanez and
yeah,
you know and the hard key amps, just
yeah.
sort of through
Cool.
experimenting throughout the years. And I'm like, you know, I really like these two together.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
other,
if you,
you know, I don't mind playing through a crate. Crate would be another good one, or
yeah,
Fender basses, Schecter basses. You know, there's a lot of great basses out there that I wouldn't mind, you know,
yeah,
jamming around with.
yeah,
I'm definitely open.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, I like you. I've got Ibanez as well, so I'm an
Nice.
Ibanez player. Yeah. So snap. But it's, you know, I mean, I don't have one particular instrument that I say, oh yeah, I mean, my Ibanez, the one I have here, I've had that guitar 20 odd years now, and it's my baby. You know, it just goes everywhere with me. It's still my favorite guitar, and I've got quite a few guitars, and you know, I've had everything from Les Pauls and all the rest of them, Flying V's, Explorers, every shape, God knows, you know, you name it. But I always go back to that one because it's my favourite. I suppose you're in the same way with yours if you've got your favourite there.
Oh yeah, I name my guitars. You know, I mean, I personalize with them. My Selma, my Ibanez. You know, she's my.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even go as far as naming them, and they keep their names, and you know,
Yeah. Yep. No.
even my girlfriend calls them by their names.
Well, then that means it works, you know. So you've
Yeah,
managed to get them to say, right, leave her alone, you know. So
she's
you
not a
know,
jealous
with
woman. I
another
can.
female. Yeah, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't got that far yet. I might have to start doing that because then I know, you know, that people will go, "Oh, who are you on about?" And you know, my Ibanez, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. All right. Well, look, I've pretty much covered everything we want to do on there. Is there anything you want to say? Anything about? Have you got any tours coming up or any gigs you coming up, Lenny?
Um, August 10th, we play at the Whiskey a Go Go with Tantric, and the lineup just keeps building. So
Okay.
I'd say go to our page as they start to build.
Yep. Yep.
We're
Hey.
kind of searching a little bit, you know,
Right.
kind of
We
agreeing
might
on
have.
which shows to do and
Yeah.
trying to work on a lineup.
Well, I was going to say we might have to catch up with you when, because my band I have got a couple of members in my band. They're in the US. My singer and my drummer are from the US. So we come over there. We might have to look you up and hook up and whatever. You see what
Yeah,
happens.
that
Yeah,
would be awesome. I'm
yeah,
up for that.
yeah. So you know, it's the idea with this is with music. You always keep in contact with people anyway, and it's good. It's good to have people from different areas and especially from different round areas in the world anyway. So I think that always works. And you know, if I always say if anything can happen and in music it can happen because you just get the right people to put it together. That's all it takes, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it's like all these musicians and the people that I've met so far. It's like they're just my people. You know, I feel
Yeah.
comfortable and
Yeah.
um, it's like a family. You know, music
Yeah.
family.
Oh, definitely, mate. Yeah, one big family. We're all crazy. We're all a bit, you know, but that's the
Just
way
a
we
little
are.
bit.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. It gets bigger. Listen, Lenny, I won't keep you any longer. It's been absolutely fabulous talking to you. Give my
Awesome.
regards to the rest of the band. Have a very, very successful when you play at the Whiskey and your gigs a bit further down the line. So who knows? We'll probably bump into you. We'll have a beer.
That's
Definitely.
awesome, man. I'd love to have one with you.
Yep, no problem, mate.
Uh,
So I think Elle might lob us off live in a second. So good luck with your career and your further recording dates, whatever you got up your sleeve. So it's been nice getting on board with you, mate. So nice to
same
see
shit.
you, and we'll
Nice to
catch
see
up
you.
again. I'm sure we will at some stage. So good luck, mate, and thanks for talking to me.
Right on.
All right, cheers, Lenny. Catch you later,
Cheers,
mate.
man.
Catch you later, mate. Bye for now. Bye for now. Drink to that.